I want to address parking. I think that the presentation last week by Sergeant Gilfus was needed. So I think that, number one, it acknowledges that this council, in the light of COVID, wanted to bring people downtown in a time where people were, less apt to want to go out. So we took the 2 hour free parking that was in just the parking garage to downtown. But as was, and that was funded by COVID money. So the lost revenue that, as you noted in last week's presentation, the lost revenue was supplemented by ARPA money. But we need to bring back paid parking. It's just, we saw the numbers and where they were going, the lost revenue. So I agree that we do need to bring back paid parking. The only things that I would vary when it comes to the rollout of it, one of the things that I would suggest is I would not have it go from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I do think one of the things that would be useful, at least at this point, was to keep it from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., which I believe was what was there before. What was what was before the time frame? Because that would be tough for people, after work to get used to paying for parking. I don't want to just jump right into an 8 p.m. Let's see where we are. Let's see what the revenue is post-COVID with the new implementation. I think $1 an hour is good for the same reason. I don't think we want to have a culture shock right after it. I do think that I know that Mr. Talbot and also Sergeant Gilfus talked about how much it's going to cost to upgrade everything. I know it's a hefty price tag, but we got to do it because we got to do it right. We can't have machines that don't work. As long as the shells work, that we can use those for a long time and we can upgrade them, and we're not having to pay every year to install new kiosks. As long as that upfront cost will last us a while, I am for those upgrades as they are. So that is my recommendation when it comes to parking. So I definitely do think the paid parking needs to happen. As mentioned yesterday or last week, that there are people that do abuse this 2 hour system that aren't patrons of businesses. We want the patrons of those businesses to go downtown and do their shopping in a timely manner, and not have on-street parking be like parking for the businesses. It's for the the workers. That's what the parking garage is for. So that's why I'm interested in this.
Mr. Geiger, I don't want to. All set?
Yes. Yes.
Do you want a consensus of the council, or how do you want to handle it?
Ultimately, that'll help so that we can actually put together a budget that takes those things into account. Right now, I'm just keeping notes right at the moment.
So, council, everyone want to turn? Or?
Those are the two things that I was going to bring up first, as far as the budget.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilor Kent.
I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I'll talk about parking because I had that jotted down. Where did I put it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I agree that we need to bring back the parking fees, and to me, it's important if we can do it to keep the 2-hour free parking in the garage. I can't remember if we talked in detail about that when we talked about parking, but that, to me, is a great option for people to be able to get some downtown. Bad weather, they can park in a garage that's just been worked on, and they're protected from the elements. It'll have a working elevator. So I think that's a wonderful opportunity for people that are coming downtown, and they're going to be here more than a couple of hours. So I'd really like to keep the 2-hour free parking in the garage. Cut off at 5. The same thoughts you did about our downtown nightlife, which is, you know, very busy. I don't want to see anything touching that as we roll this out. But I also wondered if we do have some repeat offenders that rack up a lot of parking tickets during the day, and I don't know if it'd be possible to, after, you know, you've been given 5 tickets or 10 tickets, if we can start increasing the amount of the tickets on repeat offenders. That might be a good deterrent for the ones that just always park in the same spot near certain spaces downtown. And so those were my main suggestions for the parking. The other thing I just wanted to mention is I've really been impressed with the work that the city manager and Ms. Jacobs have done to really address this difficult budget year and be very conscientious, and the departments and how a lot of things we've heard discussed over the year that we're looking forward to. Well, maybe this isn't the year we do certain things, or we maybe suspend an idea or a project. So I really am appreciative of that level of conscientiousness. And for me, as long as we continue to provide our basic services at the levels that we are now, which is our police and emergency services, protections for safe drinking water for over 45,000 people, you know, maintaining our regular trash pickup and so forth, code enforcement, all the good things we already do, I think we're in a good place. And for me, the most important thing this coming year is going to be the Owasco Lake Watershed Management Council. And this is just really an opportunity to thank the council and the mayor for supporting that work as you do every year. You've been around this project longer than I have. I just want to remind some folks at home that the Owasco Lake Watershed Management Council includes the watershed inspection program, which is critical for our role as purveyors of the drinking water. And although the Watershed Council itself secures external grants to bolster watershed protection efforts, the inspection division itself is not an implementation group, but serves us directly, serves the purveyors directly, and relies heavily on us and the other members of the Watershed Management Council for that core program funding. And I know Dr. Effler is probably going to be on our schedule in a few weeks, and he'll give us you know, the update and overview of the last year. And I believe that their annual report is due within a couple of weeks as well. So I know that funding is included, I think it's in Mr. Jensen's budget, and I just want to express my appreciation for our continued support. It's a tough time. I mean, when you think of rules and regs and the 9-element plan and everything we're going through, it's just, and not to mention the drinking water challenges this past year, so appreciate that.
Thank you. Councilor Castro, please.
In a bigger picture, I understand that services are expensive, but here we are trying to attract people from Micron to live here. We're trying to attract people just to move into Auburn. I think we all got to work together to try to keep taxes down as low as we can to attract these people. I mean, if all of a sudden we're raising taxes to the cap, I mean, people aren't stupid. They're going to look at the last 3 or 4 years and see what we're doing with our taxes, and that's going to determine where they're going to. So, like I said, I'm in a bigger picture. As far as the parking, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I want to keep the free parking. I think that really helps downtown, and I'm going to stick to that. Thank you.
I'll second. Councilor?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start out with parking. I am in favor of us going back to the system we had previously, as Councilor Cuddy and Councilor Kent recommended. I would like to see us do a couple different things as well. I know that right before we made parking free throughout downtown, we instituted a courtesy ticket program. In my discussions with Sergeant Gilfus, he said we have the ability through the software to adjust the amount of courtesy tickets we give. I'd like to see us do 4 courtesy tickets a year, once a quarter, so every quarter it resets. I get what Councilor LaCastro is saying about free parking downtown. I think what we're proposing is kind of a middle ground amongst it all. And there's a group of businesses downtown that want free parking. There's a group of businesses downtown that don't want free parking. They've come to me and said that it has hurt their business, due in large part to people who are parking out there for extended periods of time. And then we have staff coming to us with a recommendation. So I think we're taking those 3 different opinions and we're coming up with a compromise. And that's governing, right? Coming up with a compromise. And I think the courtesy ticket system, if we can do the 4, I think it addresses some specific concerns I've heard from business owners. That program, in fact, was the recommendation of a longtime business owner, I think 50+ years in downtown Auburn. So if we could expand on that, I think that would help soften the blow of this. I think, like anything, when you make a change, it's all about the messaging. I think we do a lot of good work here. I think sometimes our messaging, and I'm not blaming anybody in particular, it's us as an organization. I think sometimes the messaging misses the mark. And I brought this up a couple weeks ago when this came up, that, you know, if we're going to make a change, we really need to make a concerted effort to not only relay it to the businesses, but to educate them and give them the tools necessary to educate their customers. Whether it's posters in their windows for Pango, posters in their windows for parking locations throughout downtown. You know, I think we should allocate some funding for that so that we do it right. I know that Mr. Talbot mentioned replacing the kiosk in the parking garage. I'd like to get some testimonials from existing customers who are using this company and their product, because I know previously we've had a kiosk that was not effective, and that was very frustrating. So I'd like to at least get some testimonials from people who are using this company. I'd like to pick staff's brain. Is Pango the right mobile app to use? If we're going to make a change across the board, let's make sure that we're happy with Pango and the support that we're going to get from Pango before we commit to that again. I am in favor of 2-hour free parking in the garage. I would also ask that we do better signage there as well. I think we have opportunities to, you know, make significant signs in prominent places in downtown Auburn saying, you know, 2 hours free parking garage, you know, with arrows pointing people in the right direction. You know, as all of you know, my daughter plays lacrosse, and I'm traveling all over the state the last 3 months, and every city I go to, I'm paying to park. Every single city, and it's all different rates. But the one thing I do notice is the signage about it is better. So when you get somewhere you don't know where the parking lots are, the wayfinding signage is better. So I think we could do a better job with that. I would also like, if possible, and I know you don't have to have a exact number on this, but you know, we keep calling this revenue. I don't view it as revenue. I view it as finances, and we're committing a significant dollar amount on an annual basis to the downtown area. Whether it's the Memorial Day Parade, the Holiday Parade, the bands on the mall, the bid maintenance contract, painting lines on the street, the street sweeper going through downtown Auburn, the snow plow going through downtown Auburn, and then, oh, by the way, we go in and we remove all the snow on the snowbank, or at the snowbanks on the side of the road. We don't do that in any other neighborhood. It's a commitment from us to support business in downtown Auburn, but that comes with an expense. And I think this helps bridge that gap. So if we, just a general idea of what's spent on those things in downtown Auburn, I think that would help relay the story, not only to business owners who obviously are investing their livelihood into the city, but people who shop and dine in downtown Auburn. The other message I really want to get out there is this hasn't been free. That this has come at an expense because we've had to fill that gap to provide those services, and it's come in the form of $500,000 from the American Rescue Plan. And I don't regret it. I think it was the right thing to do. Businesses downtown were struggling during COVID, but we certainly could have also invested that money in other areas of the city, such as demolitions and things of that nature. But we chose to do it there, and I don't want credit for it, but I think the city needs to be recognized for that because that was a significant investment in economic development in downtown Auburn.